Using web-based analytical tools to bring data to life via real-time information from multiple disparate systems is no small task. But when it's part of a real-time feedback loop connected to tens of thousands of vehicles in motion, it can be a job worthy of Hercules. How do you use big data and the Internet of Things to help improve the quality of your products, increase uptime, and improve customer satisfaction while reducing warranty claims and increasing profitability? Let's find out. I'm Gene DeLibero, Community Manager of the Big Data Forum, and during today's webcast, we'll explore the Internet of Things and how one company is using IoT to usher in a big data diagnostics revolution. Let's jump in and meet our speakers. Joining us today is Tamara Dull, Director of Emerging Technologies for the SaaS Best Practices team. Tamara, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Gene. My name is Tamara Dull, and I'm on the SaaS Best Practices team at SAS. And our team, we're a ragtag team of thought leaders who focus on data-related topics like analytics, data management, and the digital experience. I often argue that I've got the most fun role on the team, as I get to talk about the emerging trends around big data, the Internet of Things, open source, and my personal favorite is privacy and security. I've been with SAS for 4 years, and I've been in the high-tech industry since the 1980s. I'm looking forward to today's discussion, and thank you for having me, Gene.
Excellent. Also joining us is Jesse Dappa, Head of Data Science at Navistar. Jesse, please share a little bit about your background.
Sure. My name is Jesse Dappa. I have been in the analytics sphere for over a decade, and I currently lead the data science team at Navistar. Before Navistar, I was in the insurance space, leading different teams of analytics projects pertaining to loss cost modeling, credit risk modeling, customer retention and survival analysis, pricing optimization, building and training analytics teams, and so on and so forth. At Navistar, my team is responsible for helping the organization outthink and outcompete its competitors with insights that we glean from our large data assets. Another way I characterize my team's role is we are in the business of creating organizational wisdom to shape the way we think about our business operations. When I'm not thinking about data, I'm either reading a book or playing with my 2 little kids or practicing ping pong. Thank you.
Jesse, I've heard you say that big data is the new feast. If you don't partake in it, you might go hungry. That's an awesome quote. Can you tell us what exactly is big data?
Sure, Gene. When I think about big data, I think about 3 main characteristics. The first is volume. Big data flows in high volumes. For instance, Navistar, our OnCommand Connection big data platform, generates over 1 terabyte of data every day. Talking about 80 million rows of data every day. That's big volume right there. And to put this in perspective, in the past, the quantity of data we would collect for the whole year was less than 1/10 of what we currently collect on a daily basis. I also saw an interesting statistic that said with the advent of big data, 90% of all data that has been collected so far have been collected within the last 3 to 4 years. So that gives you a perspective of how voluminous big data is. The second attribute is variety. Big data comes in all types of flavors and forms. They come in text form, numeric, photos, videos, audio, formatted, unformatted, structured, unstructured. As an example, think about all the types of data that can be generated from a truck as it moves. You can generate text and numeric data from the sensors, such as, the temperature, pressure, braking, acceleration. You can generate videos and photos of the inside and outside of the truck. You can generate audio from the inside and outside of the truck. And one thing that we have to also note is that variety does not have to be only with respect to the form of data. It can be with respect to the sources of data. So think about integrating data from different sources such as marketing, sales, pricing, product usage, product service, claims, manufacturing, and human resources. The third feature that defines big data would be the rate or speed at which the data flows. Big data tends to be very fluid and flows continuously and consistently at high speed, such as every second or minute or hour or daily. It's got a ceaseless flow to it. So the description I gave should help explain why I call it the big feast. Such a high-resolution data should definitely provide insights that easily fill the idea part of any organization. Keep in mind that the whole insurance industry was revolutionized by only one variable, which is the credit score of the policyholder. So if only one variable can change an entire industry, think about how the potency that big data can do with its size and variety.
Tamara, what about you?
So when I talk about big data, you'll see on the slide that's me, my avatar, standing on a soapbox, and I have some soapbox statements that I just kind of go off on. And one of my soapbox statements is, big data is not new. As I said in my intro, I've been in the industry for a very long time, and in 2011, when the big data term started showing up everywhere, you started looking and like, wow, what did I miss? I mean, hasn't the data we've been working with already big? And so, part of it was just that marketing, hype around it. So on the slide, what you see is in these orange boxes, you'll see that this is data that we have been using for a really long time. We've been storing it, we've been processing it, we've been analyzing it. If we move through, though, you'll see that big data is not new. You'll see a bunch of blue boxes here with a bunch of different data types. You've got GPS data, weblog data, photos, spreadsheets. Is any of this type of data new? The answer is no. So what is new? What got this whole discussion started? It's because now we have technologies that are a lot cheaper that allow us to store and process and analyze it at a fraction of the cost of what we've been doing with some of our traditional technologies. So big data is not new, and interestingly enough, neither are the data challenges. We still have the same data challenges as we've traditionally had. So what I'm showing here is the data governance framework that our team talks about, and you will see all the aspects of data governance and data management. All of these frameworks, all of these issues still apply to big data. What's different is now you just have a bigger problem. And as Jesse was talking about, we just have greater volumes, greater varieties, and greater velocity at which the data is being created. And so I stand by, big data is not new. It didn't just come up in 2011. But what is new is the technologies and coming up with new processes and cultures and people to address what is on the horizon for all of us. And I'll be talking a little bit about that later in the discussion.
Can you tell us a little bit about the OnCommand Connection project at Navistar, Jesse?
Sure, Gene. So at Navistar, we call our big data, our IoT project, OnCommand Connection platform. And what it is we've put something called electronic component module into our trucks. And that's transmitting to us very high resolution, second-by-second data. So we're talking about data about the state of the truck, variables like temperature, pressure, torque, data about how the truck is being used, so acceleration, braking, speed, lane handling, data about all the fault codes that are being triggered. So this is your classical big data. It's high variety data because we're getting it every second. It's high volume data. Like I said, we're getting about 80 million rows of data every day, a terabyte every day, so it's very high volume. And it's high variety. The way I described, we're getting data from the state of the truck, how it's being used, fault codes. We are even working right now to include data in the form of videos and pictures of what's happening inside and outside of the truck. So the way I characterize it is we've been keen on building the nervous system of the truck. We're building think about the eyes of the truck, the ears, the brain. So this is very cool. We are very excited about this technology because we maintain a visionary and leadership role on this technology within the industry. Our OCC product is resonating in the market that of our competitors. And I think the main reason, there are so many reasons why that is, but the predominant reason is because of our open architecture platform. With an open architecture platform, we are able to integrate our product with all, if not most, telematics vendors. And really, this is a competitive edge that's unique to us within the industry.
Now, you've both made reference to the 3 V's of big data: volume, variety, and velocity. But what about the value of big data? I'd love to get your individual perspectives around the value of big data.
So for most companies, including Navistar, growing business profitably has been more of a fantasy than a reality. And what I mean is almost always you either have to sacrifice some profits for some growth or sacrifice some growth for some profits. But doing both, achieving both the same time is very hard. And what most companies, including us, have finally realized is big data may be the missing piece, or not even may be the missing piece. Big data is the missing piece. We've begun to realize the enormous economic potency in our big data assets. Our big data assets is what would allow us to improve and disrupt our existing business models and create newer and more powerful ones. And I want to talk about a couple of ways we are revolutionizing our operations with big data. The first is the early detection of emerging issues. And the way I describe this project is that traditionally, when a part of a truck would fail way worse than expected, let's say 5 times worse than expected or 10 times worse than expected, the truck manufacturer would not catch it early. By the time that the issue flows through the warranty databases and becomes visible to the organization, way too many customers have already been affected. And unfortunately, the reputation of the manufacturer have already taken a hit. So it's a little bit too late. But at Navistar, with our unique capability to now observe our trucks on a real-time fashion, we are now able to timely detect these emerging issues and resolve them accordingly. So what we've done is we've built statistical models and algorithms that in a real-time fashion run through our data to figure out if something is out of whack, if there is an emerging issue. And once we find such an issue, the right triggers are set and the issue is resolved in a timely fashion. The next big data project that I want to talk about, or that we are espousing, is what have been called the proactive repair models. So now, using our big data assets, we are able to predict when our trucks will break down, and hence we are able to proactively schedule them for service. Now, if you talk to trucking customers, right, if you talk to those that buy trucks, they don't necessarily hate the fact that our trucks break down. They just hate that the trucks break down unexpectedly at unexpected places. And so now that we have a foresight, now that we are able to predict when our trucks would break and sort of schedule them for services, we think we'll be able to alleviate some of the pains that our customers face. So this is huge for us. The third body of work that I want to talk about is how we are using big data to enable what I call ubiquitous sales and services. So what do I mean? One of the clearest transformations in the advent of Internet of Things is the death of ubiquity and the birth of ubiquity. The era of engaging customers at only one designated place is fastly disappearing, and it's being replaced with a much more powerful interaction that's able to flow with time and space. So imagine this. Imagine a driver whose truck breaks down in the middle of nowhere. Gene, this is one of the most frustrating things that can ever happen to anybody, right? But what if, let's also stretch our imagination a little bit. What if a diagnostics box suddenly popped up and informed the driver about what is wrong with the truck, and then informed the driver about the parts and services that would be required to solve that problem? And what if it did not even stop there? What if it showed the driver all the neighboring dealerships that are currently opened and gave the driver visibility into the inventory into each dealership and the prices that they charge? Or let's continue to stretch our imagination. What if upon breakdown, the truck manufacturer is suddenly notified and the manufacturer is able to wirelessly dispatch a solution to the truck and solve the problem? Wouldn't that be something? So these are the sorts of technology that Navistar is currently vested in. These are the sorts of technology that we are focused on developing, and it's a very exciting future for us.
Well, I can tell you, having broken down in the middle of nowhere, I can say that I don't have to stretch my imagination too far. All of those things that you described would have been great to have at that time for me. Tamara, what about you?
So when you're talking about the value of big data, there's many ways to address this one, and Jesse just did a fantastic job of giving us examples of how Navistar is realizing value with big data. And I want to go one level higher, and I'm just going to focus on the financial aspect. Simply stated, as you can see, I'm on my soapbox again. Big data is about money. It's about making money and saving money. And Jesse gave us some great examples of how Navistar is doing that very thing. So if you're not using big data to help improve your company's bottom line, then frankly, I've been telling people don't do big data. It's not worth it. And I don't mean to sound like a Debbie Downer, but big data technologies are still evolving at a rapid pace, mind you, and developers and companies alike are still figuring out what works well, what doesn't work well, and so on. Some companies, like we just heard from Jesse at Navistar, are doing a really good job of figuring it out really well. So the value of big data, I always tie it to, are you improving your company's bottom line? Are you helping your company make more money, or are you helping save it through operational efficiencies and stuff? So that's how I would respond to that question.
Excellent. Let's take a strategic look now. How can businesses drive a successful big data analytics strategy? Jesse, let's start with you.
Sure. It's very simple. I think what you want to do with big data is use it to generate the wisdom. I call it the organizational wisdom, right? To change the way you think about the business, to shape the way you think about your operations so that you can change them, right? And I want to use one simple project that we did to demonstrate how this is done. So the project is called Vehicle Use Clusters. And the power of this project, like I said, rests in its simplicity despite its widespread applications. The way I usually explain this project is the human mind is able to think along one dimension very easily, right? Along two dimensions, we begin to struggle a little bit. Three dimensions, we are almost incapacitated. Anything greater than three dimensions, unless you are Albert Einstein, forget about it. However, with a computer, with a machine, and with a software like SAS, Python, R, we are able to analyze thousands and thousands of dimensions. In fact, we are only limited by the number of variables that we have in our data set, right? So this vehicle use clusters is just as trying to understand the way our customers use our trucks along three dimensions. And the three dimensions are miles that they travel every month, the gallons of fuel that they use every month, the number of hours that they drive their trucks every month. Three simple dimensions, right? And based on these three dimensions, we cluster our customers into 8 groups. We have fancy names for them too. We have the average Joes, we have the rough riders, we have the infrequent abusers, we have the long-haul efficient. To make it fun, we created some names for our customers, right? But it's easy to see how you could use such a simple insight to affect every aspect of your business, right? Think about marketing. The product that you present to someone who beats down the truck is different from the product that you present to someone who is using the truck sparingly, right? So these clusters transforms the way we market our products. Think about engineering and manufacturing. At Navistar, one of the promises that is very near and dear to our heart is the promise of uptime. We simply want to build trucks that stay on the road forever, right? So it's our goal. Then we don't want to validate our trucks. We don't want to engineer our trucks to just the average user. We want to engineer the trucks to the most robust user, someone who is going to beat down the truck, the rough rider. Insights from big data is giving us very high resolution understanding of who those customers are and how they use it, right? the way we price our warranty. To the extent that warranty is correlated with usage, you don't want to charge the same customer the same warranty. And so now we have the ability to change our warranty price and based on how we expect our customers to use it. So if you're a Rough Rider, maybe you pay a little bit more than an average Joe. So basically, we get to price our warranty products the same way Progressive prices their insurance products. This is fascinating in the trucking industry. This is game-changing.
Thanks, Jesse. Tamara, what about you?
So when I think about big data and analytic strategy, I kind of go back to my initial thought where we're talking about big data is not new and how it has actually changed how we go about our strategy. We have been working with data strategies for a long time. And what kind of helped me understand the difference between, our traditional analytic strategy and a big data analytic strategy is this quote here that I have. It's one of my favorite ones from Donald Rumsfeld. And it says, there are known knowns. These are things we know that we know. There are also known unknowns. That is to say, there are things that we know we don't know. But there are also unknown unknowns. These are things we don't know we don't know. So how that plays out is the known knowns have been our traditional analytics. And the way that looks is, we have defined our data. It's been sitting in our data warehouse. We know exactly what questions we can bring to our data warehouse to get the answers. And we're limited. If sometimes the data is not there, so we have to expand our data warehouse so that we can get answers to those questions. Now, how does it change with big data analytics? The fun thing about here is that you are able to discover the unknown unknowns. Now that you have the ability to bring in all your data types, and if you go back to that one slide that I had where I had the orange boxes and the blue boxes, now if I have all that data together, now I have the ability to ask questions that I couldn't ask before or I didn't even know to ask before. So when I think about a big data analytic strategy, I'm thinking more about, it's expanded our ability to ask more questions so that we can derive more insights and take some more actions to help improve our bottom line and help serve our customers better. So that's how I look at big data analytic strategy.
Great. Well, the last couple questions dealt with value and strategy. What I'd like to ask now is, what's your approach for cultivating a big data culture within your organization? Jesse, maybe you could go first.
Sure, Gene. So at Navistar, we drive our analytics team with an inspiring belief in the arts of possibilities and a strong sense of purpose of why we were established within the organization. This is something that I remind our team of all the time. We try to transcend the status quo and expand our imaginations to what things ought to be. And this attitude is what fuels our passions to come to work every day and deliver works and results that excite the business. And so I would argue that having a clear sense of purpose and having the courage to imagine, the courage to stretch your imagination a little bit are key qualities of great analytics teams. We also try to promote good values and culture here. We treat each other with respect and trust. We are friendly with one another. Since we tend to spend at least a third of our day here, we try to make the environment as conducive as possible. And we don't play with our analytics infrastructure and tools. One of the frustrating things that can ever happen to an analyst is to come to work and feel like you don't have the right set of tools to work with. And so we nourish our ecosystem with all kinds of tools, with SAS, R, Python, Spark, Hadoop, you name it. And this is because we want to be able to cater for all the different needs, the diverse needs of our analysts. We don't want tools to be the reason why someone comes to work and is not able to perform optimally. That wouldn't make sense. One of the things that we've done is we've established clarity on what we do and how it differs from IT. So the way we think about it is IT primarily manages and maintains our data assets, and then we use the data assets to produce winning insights for the organization. I think this clarity is one of the things that define Navistar Analytics. I tend to talk to people from different analytics organizations, and they tell me that they don't understand what IT does and what they do. And I think that clarity that we have allows us to go faster than most companies. One of the things that we've also done is we've established a strong relationship between us and the business. We've worked our way to become their trusted advisors. So when they have a problem, when they need to make a decision, an evidence-based decision, they call us. One of the struggles that most analytics departments have with the business is the inability to move as fast as the business wants. And so at Navistar, we've begun nurturing and cultivating what have been called citizen analysts within the respective business communities. So this allows the business to get quick answers to their quick questions while we focus on the more sophisticated. When I say we, I'm talking about the analytics organization. We focus on the more sophisticated problems. So it's just little things, right? Trying to make sure that there's role clarity in functions, trying to make sure that you've created a conducive environment, and trying to make sure that people are excited with the vision why they come to work every day. And I think that's what makes us produce very cool products.
What about you, Tamara?
Yeah, I really like what Jesse had to say. My colleague and I, we wrote a white paper called Getting the Right People on the Big Data Bus. And we argued that in the golden trifecta of business transformation, people, process, and technology, is that people is like the most important component. And, Jesse just did an excellent job of explaining how important the people factor is in these big data implementations. From a more practical standpoint, I have a big data roadmap here. And some of the things that we have learned working with our customers is that when you're going to start on your big data journey, you need to learn about what the possibilities are, in terms of technology. You need to educate yourself. You also need to sit down and basically figure out what business questions you're trying to tackle. It's not let's go do big data and let's figure out the business questions to apply to it. Figure out what your business questions are and then go figure out what data you can use to help answer that question. So identify all those business questions. Those are our different opportunities and potential projects. And then get executive buy-in to what you're doing because you don't want to waste your time, working on a project and then not have it recognized at the higher levels. Because again, if big data is about making money, you need to have the higher level sponsorship. Then you're going to go ahead and build a team. And, that team can fluctuate over time. And then that opportunities list that we talked about, the business questions, go and tackle that first one. And then, see how it goes. And when you are done, whether you have succeeded or you have failed, share the results, especially with the stakeholders, and be transparent about that. And conduct a post-mortem on that project. Figure out what went right, what went wrong, and then make changes to the processes, to the people, to the technologies, whatever you need to in preparation for that next business question that you're going to go ahead and tackle. Again, we've heard so many companies have gone and built that environment, and IT has been very excited because, they were able to stand up a big data environment for all this data. And people on the business side said, well, what am I supposed to do with this? We didn't have the tools and everything. And so it wasn't helpful to them. So again, always start with the business question and then line up your team, your executive sponsorship around it. Learn as you're going. As I said earlier, the technologies are evolving, and they're evolving at a really fast pace. And so, what worked well 6 months ago, there might be a better technology that you can use for the next project. So again, we're all learning and growing together.
What other organizations have inspired you on your big data and IoT journeys? Jesse, maybe you could go first here.
Sure. It would have to be GE and AIG. So with GE, I like how they are weaving the digital thread through every aspect of their business, from helping them engineer superior products to leveraging data to create phenomenal efficiencies within their supply chain and logistics planning processes. And it's quite beautiful the way their CEO, Jeff Ebelt, describes their journey. So Jeff describes their evolution as going to bed as an engineering company and waking up as a data company. That's quite lovely if you ask me. The next with AIG, I like their science team a lot, creating a team that consists of all sorts of minds, so statisticians, mathematicians, economists, psychologists, behavioral scientists, you just name it. I think I read a statement from their CEO that they created that team so that it can help create tactical and competitive advantages for the organization. Really, what they have been able to achieve within a few years of their existence is quite remarkable. One of the quick wins they got was they discovered a data-driven methodology to identify and underwrite the worst 10% of claims that drove 60% of AIG's workers' compensation losses. This kind of Pareto efficiency is unthinkable within any business, if you ask me.
Tamara, what about you? What organizations have inspired you on your big data and IoT journey?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Jesse on GE. I'm just flabbergasted at what they are doing and how, this industrial type company has, come into our living room. Some of the commercials that they have now that are related to IoT are just, phenomenal. So I'm really inspired by what they're doing and trying to make, big data and IoT, accessible to everyday people. The other company that I've always had my eye on that I just love is Amazon. I mean, they basically run on data. And, they tell a story that, they have never thrown away any data. They've kept every piece of data on you since day one. And it's worked very, very well for them. They're the ones that came up with the product recommendation tool way back in the day. We had to help Amazon, train it, but then they were able to automate that. And now most major retailers will have a similar type, product recommendation engine that started with Amazon. And we fast forward to today, is Amazon has so much information on you, and they know what you like and everything. They are talking about what they call anticipatory shipping. And the idea there is that they know you better than you know yourself, and they will ship you a product before you even click on the buy button. And how they're really doing that is they will watch your patterns and stuff, and they will make sure that that product that they know about, that they expect you to buy, they will make sure that that product is in the distribution center closest to where you're at, so that when you do click buy, you can literally get it the same day. And so they are using data in a very, very mighty way. And then, with the IoT and their dash buttons and all that, they are helping the consumer, try to automate their life with data. So I am, consistently surprised, awed, upset because of privacy things, with Amazon. But, they have a lot of data, and so I kind of keep my eye on them.
Awesome. All right. Our final question is a big one. And we're going to start with you, Tamara. Will big data save the world?
That's a good question. My simple answer, believe it or not, even though I'm a strong big data advocate, my answer is no. It's not going to save the world. If you look at how we've traditionally approached data, it's like a checkers game. We've spent the last 30 or so years stuffing our data nice and neat into our relational databases and data warehouses, and then using analytics to discover new, differentiating insights that will help us get ahead of our competition and support our customers better. And once we understand the rules to this data game, we just work on doing it better, faster, and cheaper. Now, so how does that change with big data? Now that big data has entered the picture, the game has become much more complex. It's like we're now playing a chess game, if you will. Not only is the technology bigger, faster, and cheaper, the possibilities on how to play the game have grown exponentially. So no, I don't believe big data will save the world. What I do believe, however, is that it has the ability to change the world in revolutionary and even jaw-dropping ways. And yes, it can, and it is being used to save lives. Viva la big data.
So this is the only time that I'm going to disagree with my co-presenter. I think big data will save the world. I strongly believe that. And if it doesn't save the world, it would shape it in a very, very memorable way. And, we started to catch glimpses of this, right? The makeup of successful companies are changing. The rise of digital retail firms and the demise of traditional brick-and-mortar stores is an example of this. To give you an example, in 2017, Walmart has announced to close about 154 stores. Walgreens will close about 200 stores. Office Max is expected to close about 400 stores. So this seems to be like a trend that's bound to continue. I read an interesting article that projected that if the current S&P 500 companies don't adapt and evolve accordingly, up to about 75% will be replaced by the next decade. I've already talked about, how I'm thrilled and excited about the digital transformation happening at GE. It's another example, an industrial company becoming a data company. That's a huge evidence of the impact that big data is having on our world. And if you also pay attention to the recent acquisitions, most of them have got big data written all over it. For instance, Walmart recently purchased Jet.com for $3.3 billion. It's important to emphasize that this is not merely an online presence play, right? It's not just that Walmart wants to enhance or extend its online presence. I don't think so, because Walmart already has got a very strong online presence. This is a sophisticated online experience play. And if you study Jet.com, they have a pricing algorithm that is driven by the type of credit card the customer is using, the number of items in the customer's cart, whether or not the customer waives the merchandise return policy. So this is the kind of they are running a kind of sophisticated pricing algorithm that's only enabled by big data. And I think that's the reason why Walmart decided to retain their CEO, Mark Law, to be the person who should run their online experience too, right? So Jet.com was doing a fabulous job using data to interact with their customers, even through pricing, and I think Walmart realizes that and wants a piece of that. Another interesting acquisition that's being discussed recently is Verizon's move to buy Yahoo Internet properties for $4.8 billion. So to paraphrase what Verizon said in the news, they said the play is to combine data on 200 million unique monthly visitors to Yahoo sites, 150 million unique AOL users, and Verizon's 100 million wireless subscribers to offer a targeted services for advertisers. So this is really Verizon sharpening their services with big data. That's the play. It's very simple. And so to me, the evidence is crystal clear that big data is the inevitable future.
Well, it looks like our time's just about up for today. Tamara and Jesse, it's been great talking with you. I've really enjoyed listening and learning. Thanks for sharing your insight. To continue the discussion, please visit bigdataforum.com. It's a community of your peers, and we discuss all things big data. On behalf of the Big Data Forum, SAS, and IDG, thanks for tuning in.